Yo, what's good everybody? Welcome to another video. And today I want to talk about the 2.0 Wuthering Waves story and what I'm looking forward to seeing in that story. And stories going forward, of course. I think the current story has quite the generic plotline, even though I don't think it's bad like everyone else. A lot of people say it's dog shit, but I don't think it's that bad. I think that's quite the exaggeration, but I think that it could definitely be improved. And I want to go over some things that I think could definitely improve the story in this video and possibly make it a little bit more complex, but not too complex to the point where there's a bunch of jargon like Star Rail. We don't want that, respectfully. But yeah, I definitely think there's some things that could be added, and I'm just going to get straight into it. Firstly, I think that Rover needs to experience some adversity in the upcoming quest. I think Rover needs an equal in terms of an antagonist to really push them through a very low period so that we can see them rise back up into a high period in the story. And I think that's a good way to tell a character's story because it's very relatable. You don't just go up, you don't just do everything perfectly, you don't just beat everything in life. You're gonna experience some lows, and I think that adding that to a character gives them depth, and I think the Rover needs a lot of depth. So I think an antagonist that can really challenge the Rover both mentally and physically would be very much needed in the story going forward. Another thing though, I definitely want some more suspense to be added to the story. I think that's a very powerful storytelling tool, and I think Wuthering Waves is lacking the sense of urgency in the story. I feel like most of the time I just think Rover will figure this out and they'll get out of this situation pretty easily. In 1.1 though, they actually did add a bit of suspense with Jue, us thinking that Jue might die in order to save Jinzhou, but like the thing is, they also mentioned that Jinxi might die as well if she's not able to complete the second awakening. And it's just that like I found it hard to believe that Jinxi was gonna die and not complete her second awakening. So I just automatically thought, yeah, Jue is gonna live and everyone's gonna live, because I don't think they would kill off Jinxi just like that, you know? And I think that we should feel more of a sense of urgency going forward in Arena Cedar's quest. We should feel like, oh my god, wait, we're in trouble here. We do not have that sense of urgency in the current story, and I think that would be nice if they would add it in 2.0 and the stories going forward. The next thing I want to go over is I want characters that treat us differently. Yes, there can be still some friendly characters that will be more open to us, but I want a variety of characters that treat us different in different ways. I feel like most of the characters so far are very friendly and very trusting to the Rover, and I feel like that should not be the case for every single character. I hope in Rhythm Sita and future stories that we have characters that are more wary of us, less trusting, and question what we're doing. And I want less faded interactions with the story. I want the Rover to be an outside force just coming to something that's already happening. Something like that, if you get my drift. And this goes straight into my next point. I want characters that don't know us. I feel like a lot of characters so far, not everyone of course, but in the main story, I feel like a lot of characters know us, or they have like some sort of interaction with us. I think Chang Li's master knew the Rover, Camellia knew the Rover previously, Shorekeeper knew the Rover previously, Jue is the Rover's student, and their interaction with Jinxi a little bit less than everyone else, but I want less characters. I think we don't need as much faded interactions pretty much as before. While we're on the topic of characters, I want to see some more side character development in the story as well. I want side plot lines to be happening while we're going forward in the main plot line, and seeing characters change their perception with each other in the story going forward. I want to see like maybe Rover is going towards something in the story, a goal, and maybe a character on the side two characters on the side are interacting negatively with each other, it could be positive as well, and maybe by the end of the story they're not as negative or they're not as positive as before. Stuff like that I want to see. That would add more depth to the story. I just think the story is kind of shallow. While not bad, I think it could definitely be improved quite a bit in that aspect. And I think a lot of these topics that I'm going over really flow well into each other, because the next one I'm looking at right now is characters outside of the MC should interact more with each other. I feel like most of the character interactions are towards the MC and not to each other. I was playing Zenless's 1.4 story earlier, yesterday, I'm pretty sure, and there was a lot of side characters interacting more with each other, and I think that that would be amazing in Wuthering Waves. In every story, honestly, you should have that, but Wuthering Waves doesn't really have that as much. And I think characters like Camellia that don't really interact with anyone outside of the rover, I think they should develop to the point where they do interact with others outside of the rover and have their own little plot lines that don't really fully involve the rover as the main piece in it, because the rover should be the main piece in the main story. But I think in the side story it should be more focused on the characters. That's a personal thing. And yeah, I think characters like Camellia, like Shorekeeper, should eventually interact more with other characters in the future that are not the rover. That's pretty much my critique for that. I think the 2.0 story should also have a very dark side to it. I think Rina Sita, while it looks bright, I think there should be some dark undertones in it, where like there's probably an underground area where there's a lot of poverty and the higher ups don't really pay attention to that. Maybe there could be some sort of tacit discord experimentation happening with humans in tacit discords. That is also a very dark plot line. It doesn't just have to be blood and gore to be dark, although we got that in 1.0 with the war, but I think we need more of that in Wuwa. I think Wuwa needs to feel like a dark story that's really serious, and you gotta have a sense of urgency in the story, because you don't know when someone might die or something might happen that causes a calamity. It's a post-apocalyptic world, and I think there should be signs of an apocalypse coming, more so than what we have in the story currently. And the last thing I want to talk about is I want some more cutscenes to be added. There are already quite a bit of cutscenes, but I think they can really turn it up, especially since they got that 10-cent bag now. I think there should definitely be some more cutscenes being put in the story. In Rina Sita, I expect to see a lot of cutscenes, and just to spice up the overall storytelling aspect of the game and make it feel really good. I think ZZZ did a really good job with that. I think Wuthering Waves needs to take some of those aspects from ZZZ, put it into their game. There's a lot of cutscenes in the new ZZZ story, and I think Rina Sita should be just as much cutscenes as that story. Anyways, y'all, that's my opinion. Y'all can tell me your opinion on what you want to see in the 2.0 story. Maybe you think that the story is already good enough. Maybe you don't think they need to really change nothing. I think they do. Let me know if you do. And I'll talk to y'all when I talk to y'all. I'm out.